All right, let's give it time to populate and tell all the people that we're here. I don't see it live yet. Oh, there it is. It's up. Hang on a second. I don't see it live yet. Oh, there it is. All right. See if this will work. Okay. Might not get anybody. It's been so long since we've been on.
Mm-hmm. At least it records it.
That's, yeah, that's okay. All right. Yeah, we got one in here. Evening, Miss Crystal.
She's a loyal fan.
Crystal's always here. Crystal's good stuff.
Yeah. So Nick's on asking what's new. Well, probably a lot. We haven't been on for a while.
Yeah. So for those of you just jumping in, apologies for having been MIA for a while. Just kind of a combination of between Noel and I both being neck deep in work,
Yep.
family stuff, some health issues here and there, and
You
then
name
just
it.
working on our own preparations and stuff. It hasn't left a whole lot of free time for other things. Hence the lack of live streams and the lack of just regular videos. I've got a list of them that I want to get done. Just have not either haven't had the opportunity, or when I had the opportunity, just honestly didn't feel like it. So I'll
Yeah. Fortunately,
get
we
some
got
new.
together a while back and were able to get some done. But
Yeah, that was the
you know,
last couple. That was the last
yeah.
couple that I've got up. So um, cousin Dick couldn't be with us tonight. He's got some stuff going on that he couldn't make it. So he'll be here in spirit. Let me see what it says over here. We got 8, not the usual crowd, but that's okay. Um, yeah, dumpster fire is kind of the polite way of putting it, Crystal. It's
Yeah.
kind of like
That kind of sums it up. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
think like dumpster fire outside of a biohazard facility with diesel fuel dumped on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not something you want to roast marshmallows or s'mores over, but so we didn't have anything in particular that we wanted to discuss tonight. Just a few things I wanted to go over first up front. Like I said, I do have a list of videos that I want to start working on and get done as I can get time. Um, I'm going to revisit some of the communication stuff that I've recently done because, as always, we reserve the right to change opinions and SOPs on things as situations warrant. And not that a whole lot's changed, just there's little tweaks that I wanted to implement and things that I want to put out there for y'all's consideration that I think it's important for you to give thought to. A couple of other things that I've got lined up I want to do. So no, well, I'll get to those as I can. Noel and I'll try to schedule some stuff again in the future. Like I said, it's just getting schedules to line up and everything. Um, did want to encourage everyone to pay close attention to current events.
Yeah.
I know sometimes it's easy to get overwhelmed with everything that's going on. So don't try not to let yourself get like, keyholed in and tunnel visioned on any one particular thing. Just kind of step back and just keep a broad view on the bigger picture of there's stuff going on. Make sure you're staying up on things. Make sure you stay up on continuing to add to your stuff, be it food supplies, medical supplies, whatever little things you need to tweak and add to. Um, just continually try to keep making that progress. Uh, one little example, like tonight, the boys are doing different things and out and about and whatnot. So, wife and I didn't feel like fixing dinner, so we uh, we decided to test a couple of things. Um, it's always a good idea in your stored food to obviously rotate through stuff, on occasion. But I think something a lot of people don't give thought to is not only rotating through it, but actually fixing things like you would fix them if you were in a situation where you're having to dip into your stored food. That way you can kind of get ideas of how you'd want to prepare stuff, what's easy ways to do it, find out what you like, what you don't like. That gives you a better idea of, hey, we didn't really care for this particular item, and not going to keep so much of that in the future, but we really like this, so we're going to make sure we stock up on that. Because it's one thing to have a whole bunch of food stored. It's another thing to have a whole bunch of food stored that you ain't ever tried. And when the time comes, you try it only to find out, holy crap, this is horrible and nasty and we don't like it. Um, Around the house, I'm still a big proponent of storing up canned foods that you normally would eat at the grocery store. Just buy extras of it and keep a big supply of it, because canned food lasts darn near forever as long as it's kept out of extreme heat or extreme cold. You can eat it cold. Uh, it's usually pretty good calorie wise. And if you get stuff that you already eaten, like, win-win. I actually sent Noel a picture earlier. One of the things that we tried doing, and I got the idea from another friend. We just took a can of roast beef, and wife put it in a pot, put a little salt, pepper, garlic, and diced up an onion, and dumped in there, warmed it up because it doesn't need to be cooked; it's already cooked. Warmed it up, and then we baked a couple of potatoes, smashed the potatoes up in a bowl, poured the roast beef and juice over that, added a little pepper, and mixed it up, and it was extraordinarily tasty. It was quick and
It looked
simple.
good.
Got a good calorie content to it. It would be very easy to fix in a grid down type situation. The buddy that told me about it, what they do, because they do the same thing on occasion, he'll use just instant mashed potatoes. They can just add hot water to, which we keep those too. So in the event that we're not growing potatoes, which we try to do, instant mashed potatoes work. It gives you something that tastes good, that's hot, it's got some bulk to it, it's got good calorie content to it, it's got good, for what it is, vitamin content, and we like it. And it was actually the first time trying this particular brand of canned roast beef, and it was an instant, yep, we want a whole lot more of this stored away because it's good and we like it, and it's not a big shock to the system if you find yourself suddenly had to dip into your food supply, because it's all canned stuff you'd normally eat anyway. So, long rambling way of just saying, make sure you do that kind of thing on occasion and try your stuff out, because it's going to suck to get into a situation where you haven't tried your food and you don't like it. I know a good example. Our last big get together with all of our folks, one of my buddies brought a freeze dried meal that he wanted to try, and I shared it with him dinner one night, and that was one of those moments of discovery that, so this will technically keep you alive, but it's borderline on, excuse me, grass and berries might be more palatable. So I think you were doing something else when he and I were fixing that
Yeah,
meal that night.
I'm glad I missed
But
that meal.
yeah, so he's kind of written that off his, yep, not buying any more of this stuff on the list. So
Well, that's
um,
bad. That's pretty bad because we usually eat pretty good out there, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Jay, evening. How you doing? Um, what else was I going to point out? Just overall the usual stuff that we talk about. Keep steadily improving your position. Keep steadily adding extra things. Keep looking at your stuff. What do you where's little holes you need to plug and I recently discovered a couple of things with a couple of our radios that I had to a couple of different antennas. The only way you find that stuff out is to actually use it and try it and learn it and figure it out. I'll get into more detail on that in the actual communications video I want to do. I've got me a checklist that I'm making to kind of help the memory so I don't forget stuff I want to go over. But
Well,
um,
and I think that if I'm not mistaken, just to kind of caveat on that, both of us have our families on radios and repeaters in an emergency.
yeah,
So,
yep,
I mean, we have repeaters here, a series of them in Huntsville, in northern Alabama, and I got out of four kids, I've got one left in the house, but she works and she travels, and so I've got all of them within repeater range. They got good antennas now. They got you know so so that as a dad, that's a big peace of mind.
yeah.
So
We've done the same, which Noel and I have discussed privately, but uh, we've got stuff set up so that I can talk to my wife when she's at work and when I'm working. Um, we can communicate with the boys and my wife pretty much anywhere in our entire county and just outside into the surrounding counties a little ways. In the event that cell phones aren't working or whatever. So that's a big deal though. That unless it's something that you're normally doing all the time, you got to do it to figure it out because there's a learning curve to that kind of stuff, and you got to make sure that you've got it worked and everybody knows how to use it, and you've got contingency plans and all that. Um, so there's that. Like I said, that's something I'm gonna dive into more in the communications related video here, hopefully in the not too distant future. But
yeah, it's real important.
yeah,
Real
yeah,
important.
especially with where things are at. Um, look at your, you know, for example, ammo. Treat your ammo situation like your food situation, right? I keep saying every time you go to the store, if you buy, 2 cans of corn, buy a third one and put the two you normally buy in your pantry, put the third one in a bin, and do that with all your other canned food till you get a bin filled up and then start on another one. It's an easy way to get a lot of good stored food put away. So you can do the same thing with your ammo. If you just set yourself a budget, and that's going to vary from person to person what you can do. But heck, if all you can do is set aside $10 a month every month, buy one box of, we'll just say 5.56 ammo, one box of 9mm, whatever. Um, and before long, you'll notice that you've got a fair amount accumulated up. Not everybody, and I'm one of those not everybody's, can just go out constantly and dump
Excuse me.
$300 to $400 because uh, $300 to $400 on cases of ammo every month. I love to, but I don't. I can't. So just buy it a little bit at a time. As long as you're making progress, one more box of ammo this week is one more box than I had last week. Um, so treat all those things like that. You can do that with just about every aspect, regardless of what your budget is. buy an extra box of gauze pads every time you go to Wally World. Extra box of Band-Aids, extra, whatever. Just do it a little bit along. It's easy to get sidetracked and discouraged with that stuff when you see people that are just dumping, you know, they'll buy a case of Band-Aids instead of a box of Band-Aids, or multiple cases of ammo instead of a couple of boxes of ammo. Don't let that, remember, every little bit that you do is better than 80% of the rest of the population.
Yeah. Because
And
people aren't doing it. I've talked to people, and people that want to do it don't know what to do and what to get. So
yeah, it's very daunting for people who are just starting out. Um, there are some people that are waking up though. I've noticed it on one of the repeaters that I'm on here. There's been multiple new folks on in the past few weeks that are husbands and wives that are
that's
just
the
getting
family
set
thing.
up
Yeah.
to be able to talk because they're concerned about cell phones not working. It's kind of funny to see that taking place. Um,
Yeah.
I heard a couple of old guys talking a month or so ago, and it was funny. They were talking about wanting to go meet up at the range because both of them had ARs that they had bought a year or two ago and never shot, not a single
Right.
round through them. But they, quote unquote, felt like things were getting weird and wanted to make sure those rifles were zeroed and functioning. And it's kind of like, okay, when the average sheep out there start getting spooked and thinking that things are getting squirrely, they're getting squirrely at that point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, and speaking of the ammo thing, you can pick up the food and the bandages and the medical stuff and all that anywhere you normally shop at. But I want to give a good plug to my friends over at Ammo Supply Warehouse real quick. Um, Make sure you go visit them if you need ammo because that's a great place to get it. The folks there are not only folks like us, but they actually get out and do the things too. Not a lot of companies will do that, and they are supporters of what we're doing here. So I always like to give them a plug, and no, I don't get paid to give them a plug. This is a free advertisement that I don't get a penny for. So that's the great thing about not getting paid to do this. I can talk about anybody I want to, and I don't have to jump through any hoops of paid advertisement and everything. So go
You
do
know,
that.
John, you're talking about things getting a little squirrely. So just to kind of put some things that are happening to right now today into light. Back in the '60s and '70s, we had the Vietnam War protesters. We had Occupy Wall Street that was going against the rich kind of thing, and then we had um, BLM. They were going against the cops, and Antifa was anti this and anti that. But now we have this pro Palestinian um, protest.
Yeah,
They are saying death to America as a whole. I
yeah,
think that is, and they are being supported. It's already been documented that Soros and gang is supporting them, um, and they're using our universities, and that's where it's starting. But this thing is something that we need to take a serious look at, because when people start saying death to America in open forum and getting away with it, you know, the, we got some problems. And
yeah.
and the things that John was talking about, you need to heed that advice, and there's not going to be a all out shooting match all the time, but if things go bad, you're going to be dependent on yourself. So
Yeah, it's the old cliche saying, and it's cliche because it's true. There's no one coming to save you, and
that's right.
things can go from things can go from perfectly okay to holy crap really fast or really slow. We don't know which route it's going to take. So that puts the onus on us. We just got to be as ready as we can all the time, and you know, still live your life, but know that at any moment something could go bad. It's
If
better
you
to
have
have.
if you have like kids that are in colleges, you better think of a contingency plan of, if when things go bad, how they going to get how you going to get to them, or how they going to come to you, or how are you going to get them, you know
Yeah, because make
so
make no mistake, like you said, this thing at the colleges, that it's they can put as much spin on it as they want, but at its core, it's an anti-American thing, and not
yeah, it
just
is.
any specific group of Americans. It's all Americans,
And
the
they're
the
saying that.
the whole country.
Yeah.
When they jump up there and yank that flag down and hoist up another flag, there's legit, real symbolism with that. They are staking a claim of what they want. You can ignore it at your own peril, but just don't say you weren't told or weren't warned
Yeah.
down the road. So, um, what else did I want to cover real quick? I try to be like my buddy Gary and make a list of these things in my mind. But Gary's actually better at it and smarter at it because Gary actually makes a list where he writes it all down, and that way, as he does his stream, he can just check them off, and
Yeah,
then when he's done, he's done. I don't.
I have to make a list. I'm not that smart.
Well, I haven't gotten smart enough yet to make the list, so
Yeah.
I gotta get smart enough
Well,
to do that.
while we're on that topic, John, it's not just probably universities at this point. It's if you're in a big city or some type of a city, have a contingency plan to get out, or just leave and live somewhere else. But and I know that's easier said than done, but um, any populated area that these things are going to spill over. I mean, look at the BLM riots and the Antifa riots. They
Right.
they all spilt out into communities, and I think we've discussed that before on a live stream.
Yeah, and the first thing of getting out is you got to have somewhere to go.
Yep,
You can't just
and it means to get
random.
there. Yeah,
Right. You can't just decide, okay, I've got to leave, and then get in your car and well, where are you going? You can't just
yeah,
wander aimlessly. And I know for a lot of folks, there's so much virtue signaling out there. Oh, get out of the cities, get out of the cities. You can do it. You're just not doing it. No, that's a bunch of virtue signaling nonsense. There's all kind of reasons why people can't just up and leave
yeah.
where they live at due to family obligations, job situation, etc. And you can give me all the reasons why I'm wrong you want to, but that's all that is just virtue signaling. But what you can do is, and again, this isn't easy, so I'm not saying it's easy, but at least find a couple of like-minded friends that you can all agree. Okay, out of say the three of us, you know, Fred's got the best location. We're all going to go to his place and bring all our stuff there. At least that way you're with other people and you're not just that little individual island. So, if that's the best you can do, that's the best you can do. Work on that plan. Work on that plan of how y'all are going to communicate, what the reasons are you need to link up, how you do it, contingencies if something happens, of presenting problems for you to link up, whatever.
And
There
what
could
is
be.
like the decision points that, okay, if this
Right.
happens, this is what we're going to do, because
Right.
chances are you're not going to have communications unless you have some type of a radio network. Cell phones, forget those, you know.
Yeah.
So
And what people tend to overlook is it doesn't have to be anything, you know, although these are all highly possible, it doesn't have to be like a solar flare or something that takes out cell phones
yeah,
or what I'm big on is, a cyber attack or something like that. It could just literally be that there's chaos going on. It doesn't take much for cell phone towers to get overloaded and you to try to make that call and the call does not go through because the towers are all overloaded. It could
Yep.
just be as simple as that. The phones could be working, you just can't get a call through because 500,000 other people are trying to all make calls at the same time. So that's where, going back to the radio stuff, the radios can be a huge, huge thing. And again, we'll get into that, you know, in in the other video. I wanted to. Oh, excuse me. See there, I'm about to fall over as it is.
Yeah.
Um, Evening, Peter. How's it going? Um, Trying to think. Hmm. Trying to think what else I wanted to go over. We're not going to drag on and just waffle around forever. Um,
Yeah, we just kind of want to touch base again. We haven't been on for a while. Like I said, we've been busy, but things are starting to get a little hot, and just kind of want to make sure that you know you guys are still got your eye on the ball. Um, and I know that day to day things get mundane, but don't let your guard down because things are always going to happen when you least expect it. Um, John and I talk to each other and like, man, this is weird. Something, you know, this is too calm. Something may happen, and usually something kind of does, but it's not the big one. And I think that if just to think through it, like for instance, you know, we pretty much know that at some point China is going to go into Taiwan. So think of if the United States has all these riots, then all of a sudden China goes into Taiwan. I feel, and we've talked about this, that if that happens in order to cut the U.S. support from the U.S. the mainland here, um, to take down the power grid would cripple us, and nothing's moving. Nothing's
yeah.
moving because realistic the military doesn't necessarily talk by radios in CONUS. It's a cell phone calling this and that. So we could see some really bad things happening, and I don't know if Director Ray for the FBI was making this big hoopla about this impending threat of the infrastructure, that it's real, or if he said that to pass, make it like it's a threat so that the Congress and the Senate would pass the FISA bill. I don't know, but you got to think that there that we've always had a threat of that, and now we've got 10 million new people in the country that don't necessarily have this country's best interest. And China's been sending them over by the buttloads.
No,
So there's a lot of things that can go
there's
wrong real
there's
quick.
been there's been Chinese yeah there's been Chinese nationals coming over like mad, and I can tell you from folks that I know on the border, what you're hearing in the news is barely scratching the surface of what's actually going on. Um, while I'm thinking about it, Peter, if you're in Jack's, shoot me an email whenever you get a minute. Um, it's on it should be on the main page of channel. Let me go look. Hang on. I say it should be there, but that don't always mean that it is.
Yeah. So Saints and Sappers, you're absolutely right. That's why they're over here. They have target folders. They have targets. Because let's face it. You know, China, evidently, from what I understand, has got a whole line of support mechanisms coming up through South America. What communist country just lets their people go? None of them.
No, anybody that's ever been around any amount of time knows that you don't just leave China. Like
No.
you don't just up and decide, you know what, I'm just gonna leave and go to South America today. You get let go. And it's not coincidental that all the Chinese nationals that are coming across the border are all primarily military age males.
Yeah.
The women that are coming over are coincidentally military age women, for lack of a better term. And you don't see a lot of out of shape, overweight ones. They are
Right.
all fairly in shape, and by out of shape, I don't necessarily mean overweight. You don't see any that are underweight either. They don't look like they've been starving for the last 6 months of their life. Um, so
They were showing some of the Chinese that were on the border, and they were, you know how they line all of them up, you know, the illegal aliens up. Yeah, I said it, aliens. They line them up, and the Chinese guys were standing like they were in formation. You know, some of them were, you know, they're standing like they were
so
at parade rest, for heaven's sakes. You know,
others have picked up on that, and I know you and I discussed it too. To to be standing like that and to go to a parade rest position, that is a habitual thing
yeah,
after months and or years of it being instilled into you. And I imagine you'll probably agree with me, Noel. I haven't had to do it for a long time, and I still will catch myself
yep,
standing around somewhere. I'll catch myself doing that, right?
absolutely, yeah,
Not because I've had to do it in a long time. It's just it's in there, and they and you can rest assured, yes, they've got target packages, everything, and if you think about it, everybody gets so worried about an attack having to be some really complex, in-depth, high-tech thing. No, it can be a whole bunch of people that are already put here that have been sent supplies and equipment and are literally just waiting to jump on a keyboard and do that.
mhm,
You get 10 or 12 people at various areas around the country with different targets to get into, and all of a sudden stuff starts getting switched off. You got a whole lot of chaos on your hands really, really quick. And it wasn't anything. They didn't have to try to do a fancy EMP shot. They didn't have to nuke anything. They didn't have to send bombers over, nothing.
mhm,
Just a bunch of folks with a keyboard. Or even simpler, as we've already seen test runs done, just knowing what substations to go around
yeah,
and chunk a chunk a Molotov cocktail into, or a couple of you know well placed
rifleman.
rifle shots, and
And you
drive
know,
away.
John, they say there's only nine, I guess, substations in the whole United. If you knock those nine out, the whole grid goes down. Nine.
It wouldn't surprise me. I have to check with. I we can get that from a, a certain friend that I've got that we've talked about.
Well, I mean, that's open source. They say
Yeah,
that on the
yeah. As
news.
long as
I
I
mean, you
can
know,
verify it with him though.
yeah,
Um, but people just don't understand how fragile and easy, relatively speaking, something like that would be to pull off. Um,
yeah,
and that could happen at any time. So kind of on that same subject, just shifting gears a little bit. So trying to stay somewhat apolitical, regardless of where you stand, you need to accept the idea that between now and November, there is a very, very strong chance that our own people in this country might do something to affect things before the election. I don't care how you feel about Trump or anything else like that. The bottom line is he's going to be the Republican nominee. The left in the country does not want him to go back into office. The question is going to be is just how concerned about that are they, and to what lengths will they actually go to prevent that from happening? Because you may think, well, I don't care because I don't like Trump, I don't like whoever. Okay, maybe you will, maybe you don't, but that's still not going to make you immune from whatever they may try to
Mm-hmm.
do to sow
Yeah.
enough chaos to keep things from happening. Whether it's something as far as making enough chaos that physically can't hold elections, um, or what? Who knows? I don't have any good things I can lay out to you that I think here's what they're going to do. Because I think anybody that says that is blowing smoke up your backside because there's way too many variables and possibilities. We don't know what they may or may not do. The thing to be focused on is those people may be desperate enough to do whatever to keep him from being reelected as president. So you need to be thinking about that time frame of between November. Um, where you at, what you doing, what you got to get squared away, what do you need to get tied down, so on and so forth. If yeah, like Peter just said, a black swan, highly possible at this point.
Yeah.
I will be perfectly happy, and believe me when I say, and I can't stress it enough, I will be perfectly happy for November to roll around and everything to be hunky dory. I'll be perfectly happy to make it through to next January, past the inauguration, and everything be hunky dory. I'll be fine with that. I don't want anything crazy to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stick my head in the sand and just because I don't want it to happen, pretend like it's not going to happen and not do things to take, measures to be ready for it. And broken record again, that's not always just going to the range and shooting and blasting rounds. There's a whole
Yeah.
lot of other stuff you've got to do besides just that. That's one of the things. But there's a whole lot of other things that you need to be doing to be well rounded. Um,
Well, when an event happens, the populace usually doesn't suffer from an event, the event itself. It's the secondary events. Okay, so let's say there's a huge explosion downtown. All right, well maybe that explosion now, the intent was to take down a building, but now it is cut the water lines where part of the city has no water, sewer, or anything else. It's those secondary effects that get the populace pretty bad.
right,
So
right, yep. And then that starts a spiraling chain of events. And
yep,
like it or not, the population in this country, by and large, generally speaking, is not ready, not
no,
ready to handle a week without normal life, i.e., running water, flushing toilets, grocery stores full of food, functioning gas stations, electricity, so on and so forth. The vast majority of this country is not ready for a week of that.
yeah, and you bring up a good point. Let's say that if there's a regional, I'm not saying even the United
Mm-hmm.
States. Let's say a quarter of the United States to half the United States has a communications blackout. If they have a communications blackout, it's not just about the communications, calling your mom, right, telling her hi. It's you can't use your credit card, you can't use your debit card, you can't do banking, you can't do anything. So if you don't have cash on hand at some of these stores, if they will open, then you can't do anything. So,
Well,
and it doesn't have to be across the whole United States.
that brings
So,
up another little rabbit hole to go down. There's more and more places now that are starting to go cashless.
yeah,
They'll only take
they want to. Everybody wants to.
credit, debit, so on and so forth. They don't want to handle and are like literally. Where was it the other day? I saw something where there were some stores that literally don't even have cash registers. Like
Right.
they have the credit card terminal and that's it. They literally don't have a cash register. They can't even accept cash because they've got no way of doing it or
We,
making change.
we have a minor league baseball team here in Huntsville, and you there's no cash. Everything is cashless. You can't. You know, it's nothing.
Yep.
So no
No,
paper money at all. So
Peter's right. And I can tell you this first fan from having deployed to hurricane. Um, most of the deaths, like here in Florida, it comes after the storm, not during the storm.
yeah.
Um, it's
Hmm.
accidents, it's simple sicknesses, it's all that kind of stuff. So on the political side of it, if you look at the things that are slowly getting trickled out, and give some props to James Keefe and a couple of other James O'Keefe and a couple of
Hmm.
others uh, that are trickling this stuff out there. If that's the stuff that you're hearing about that's going on, that's mind blowing in and of itself, think about all the stuff that's going on that you don't and won't ever hear about.
Hmm.
Like you can't, whatever the furthest, most wildest thing you can come up with in your head, you can't 100% rule that out these days
Right. Great
because
point.
there's absolutely crazy stuff going on that, you know, years ago, you wouldn't have just been called a conspiracy theorist for saying. You would have been like on the verge of, the men in the white coats coming and taking you away to a freaking mental hospital. And now here it is, full blown, right in front of your face, verified reality.
That's exactly right.
So think about all the crazy stuff that might be going on behind the scenes that you don't hear about. And don't think that just because you're not hearing about things that everything's okay and there's nothing to worry about. Um, yeah, I saw that one, Peter, the one you're talking about. That was, yeah, it's that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. There's stuff going on like that just,
Yeah.
but see what time is it? We're getting kind of drawn out late here.
About 8:30 my time, about 9:30 your time.
Yeah, and for my old self, that's starting to get past my bedtime.
Me too.
Starting to sound more like my father and my grandfather every day.
Now let me tell you, sometimes we literally go to bed at 8:30 and it feels great. It does.
Oh, my wife and I, like, she's already in bed right now.
Yeah, Mike's probably in
I,
bed now too.
I would have been in bed an hour ago if we weren't doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she and I were talking, and you know we've been married, uh, working on 28 years, been together almost 30 years, and geez, when we were dating and engaged, we were talking about the other day, we would both go to work all day long, get off, go hang out with our friends till midnight, 1, 2 o'clock, go
Hmm.
home, get 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and be back at work the next morning, bright eyed and bushy tailed, just like, nothing was wrong.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh, those days are over.
those days are so far gone, it's not even
Yeah.
funny. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, I could still go a long time, but boy, it sure ain't as effortless as it once was.
Yeah.
Not not nearly so much. I mean, and I'm learning part of that's due to some health issues, which you and I've discussed. But
Hmm.
we're trying to get that rectified and taken care of. But man, even that aside, it's still, and now even if I could still do that, I just don't want to anymore.
No, me neither.
I'm
No.
I'm all about, you know what? I just want to get done with work, go prop my
Go
feet
to
up,
bed.
lay down, whatever.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
I'd much rather do that. Um,
Yeah.
oh, busty redheads. I don't know. Redheads kind of scare me. Uh, got redheads in my family, and I've seen the side of that. So I'm not sure I trust them with handcuffs.
Hmm. I don't see that one.
Ranger J was saying it. The most recent
Yeah.
comment there. Well,
And,
I think we probably need to wrap it up on there. Again, I just
yeah.
want to let you know that we're still here. We're going to try to start getting back going on the alert, getting more videos back up. We've just been busy with
And
again.
and we've done, I mean, so we preach this, and we're just going to tell you that we've done a lot of stuff to prepare ourselves
That's
together as a group too. So
that's taken
that
up a
takes
lot
time.
of time, a lot of free time. I mean, my three goals time wise is work, my family, and you know, preparation with our group of folks and friends. And
Yeah.
that preparation part is a lot of physical work and time doing stuff. It's not just saying it
Yeah.
and doing it. You know, there's a tendency for folks to think you're not doing anything because, like on here, we don't put up stuff. You know, most of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's nobody's business what we're doing, and usually when we're doing it, we're too busy doing it to actually stop and try to make a video of it.
And I've said this every live stream and most videos, and I'll say it again. Get out from behind the keyboard and go do it. Go out there and do it. If it's just doing push-ups, if it's just going to the range once, if it's just learning how to tie a knot, if it's just whatever it is, learn how to build a fire. I don't, whatever. Better yourself.
Put
Learn a skill.
put a backpack on and walk around your backyard.
Yes.
I don't care.
Yes.
I don't care if you've got a quarter acre backyard. Walk in circles in the backyard
Hmm.
with your backpack on for 20, 30 minutes. If that's what
Yep.
you can do. Do it. That will make you better than you were before you did it. And every time you do it, you get better and better. Um, so, it's not, again, repeating earlier, it's not about always just going to the range and blasting ammo at
Yep.
stuff. There's so many other things that you got to be doing. And I'll leave you with this. Um, One of my guys and we've been working really hard. How did you get in here? Something just flew by. Um, on some radio things, and we were running into some issues that we ultimately got resolved, but we both kind of had this little semi epiphany of, you know what, there's going to be a whole lot of people that have bought stuff, be it radio, rifle, handgun, whatever. Um, there's going to be people that have bought stuff and have no idea how to use it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a real short learning curve trying to figure it out once everything's went pear-shaped and they actually need it and can't get it to do what they're wanting it to do, when if they would have invested a little bit of time and hands-on application beforehand, they would have figured out, oh crap. So I'll give you an example. Um, so using this radio right here, there were some stuff we were trying to do. We discovered that, oh, you know what? We can't, it's not working right. Why is that? We started delving in. The antenna that we had that was supposed to be doing it wasn't doing it. That was supposed to, but just because something's supposed to doesn't mean it will. Now, it did other things like it was supposed to, but it didn't do this one particular thing we wanted it to do. So ultimately had to get a different antenna and discovered, okay, you know what, with that radio, depending on what I'm doing with it, I've got to have two different antennas with me and got to be able to swap them out and change it and know when to swap it out to do what with, so on and so forth. But the only way to figure that out is to actually use it and not just read what somebody else is saying of them using the exact same thing. You actually have to do it and use it, you know? So it, like you said, just piggyback on that, reiterate, you got to get out and use your stuff, or else there's going to be a whole lot of people that are just fancy loot drops because they've spent a whole lot of money buying stuff and didn't bother to figure out how to actually use it and make it work. There's going to be a whole lot of people that'll be laying next to them that aren't loot drops because they didn't invest in the stuff. You got to do both. You got to invest in the stuff, but then you got to go practice and use the stuff
use
too.
it. Don't leave it in the package.
Right. Right. So, all right. Is there anything else you wanted to throw down before we let everybody get back to their evenings?
No, that's good. We're good.
Yeah. Right. Like I said, just let everybody know we're still here and still kicking and hadn't disappeared. We'll try to get stuff up as we can. Like I said, I know we want to do this on a regular basis, but our schedules just don't always allow it. So best I could tell you guys is just keep an eye out for whenever we do, and hopefully the notifications and whatnot will work, and you'll know. So,
and thanks to everybody's comments. Appreciate them.
Yep. Appreciate those
and
for sure.
Saints of Sapper batteries will be a premium. You're right. So appreciate you guys participating.
Yep. So yeah, and Peter, shoot me that email there whenever you get a chance. And if that's it, guys, we're gonna close it out, and maybe we can get something a little better lined up for next week, or get something a little better lined up for next time, whenever that next time is.
Whenever that is, absolutely.
Next week or the week after or whenever. So, all right, guys, thanks as always. Y'all take care and stay safe. Keep doing all the stuff, and we will see you later.